So social commerce is one of these massively growing areas of both engagement and brand interest. And we've seen that increase throughout the pandemic. Essentially, the platforms themselves have developed really interesting tools to make it easy for people to identify products and services that are of interest to them, do their proper research, and actually make that transaction all within the confines of social ecosystems. And what we've seen there is, as more attention and time in people's lives has been dedicated to social and other digital platforms, naturally more time there means more commerce outcomes. And so what we've seen is somewhat of an arms race in the world of e-commerce and social commerce to develop tools that make it as seamless as possible for people to transact and actually make purchases on the platform. And it's been generally a very positive development for brands. One of the areas that we expect to see evolve in social commerce, and this is true in many areas, is around the idea of interoperability and the ability for brands to be able to take a product catalog and utilize that across many different social and non-social ecosystems. That's been a barrier to entry. As great as the tools on social platforms are for facilitating commerce, the difficulty is for brands to have the right type of product catalogs categorized and set up the right way to be usable across different platforms without having to reinvent the wheel time after time. So I expect that trend to really be addressed in 2022, and that will only facilitate more growth in the world of social commerce.
Jeremy, big conversation at CES this week, and kind of an ongoing buzz in the new year is the metaverse. Very interesting, a lot of opportunities, a bit of hype, I would say. But what kind of conversations are you having now with customers, with Publicis clients about the metaverse, what they need to know, and what are realistic activations in the next year or so?
It's a great question. The metaverse is, again, one of those terms that has taken the world by storm in 2021, even though it was coined back in 1992. What's interesting right now is kind of the debunking and defining of the metaverse versus many metaverses. And the reality is that the metaverse, this all-encompassing, interactive, interoperable virtual world that lives in parallel to our physical world, is not here yet. That is the manifest destiny. That is the ultimate goal. Right now, we're seeing the early stages with many different metaverse experiences and models popping up seemingly every day. And so when we talk about clients, a lot of the conversation is around properly defining the metaverse, understanding the implications and the trade-off between investing in Web 2.0 metaverse experiences, think Roblox, think Fortnite, and then versus Web 3.0, which is really metaverse experiences built on the blockchain. And one of the most prominent examples of that for brands right now is Decentraland, which is it's a virtual real estate world that allows people to essentially build experiences in the way that you would do events in the physical world. But there are so many opportunities, and this year is really going to be when rubber meets the road, because last year, 2021, was really full growth mode. And now is the kind of everyone take a deep breath and let's see what sticks. And it's going to be a fascinating year.
So, Jeremy, what are some exciting opportunities that you see for brands to tell their story through various platforms that are new, that provide access or attention, if you will, by folks who maybe not watch traditional media? What's happening there in terms of digital storytelling that's exciting to you?
It's a great question around digital storytelling and its evolution. One of the main things that I've witnessed and that I'm excited to see continue is shifting the idea of storytelling away from the glamorous and into the real peek behind the curtain. Because most of us have been at home for quite some time now, we don't want to see the usual type of social posts and engagement where you're seeing somebody else's most incredible life, because frankly, that's just not happening right now. What's interesting about storytelling in 2021 and moving into 2022 is the real value is around access and being able to see the story behind the story. And as brands dig deeper into this dynamic, it's not about aligning with the right personalities or telling a story that is purely to facilitate a brand outcome. It's how do you take the values of a brand, the core tenets of a brand's mission, and bring it to life through storytelling. And what we're finding is that people value authenticity more than ever before, and more than the perfect story. So it's almost become this world of imperfection is desirable and brings eyeballs. And the more vulnerable brands are willing to be in telling their story, and not just the glossy parts of that story, but really the full picture, consumers are responding very well to that.
And finally, Jeremy, if we could just unpack some important topics, but sometimes stuck as buzzwords, I wanted to ask, what role does blockchain and cryptocurrency play in Web 3.0, and how will they enhance the consumer experience?
Blockchain, Web 3.0, this is going to be one of the major stories of 2022. And what we saw in 2021 was a real transition from crypto being this kind of alternative asset class separate from the world. And now it is fully part of our economy. We have to remember that Bitcoin alone has over $1 trillion market cap. Ethereum is on its way there. What we're seeing is not going to diminish. Now, it doesn't mean that every blockchain and every blockchain-based activity, every cryptocurrency is going to be a home run going forward, but there will be, this is not a trend that's going away. The idea of the blockchain and the ownership that it provides to stakeholders, whether they be consumers, whether they be brands, it's really going to reinvent how we think about our digital lives. I always go back to this example with, this isn't even a Web 3.0 example, but it's really pointing back to identity. You think about Fortnite, which is a Web 2.0 metaverse environment. They were generating over $100 million a month in late 2018. And all of that was for cosmetic goods to be utilized in the game. Now, none of those goods actually made players better at the game. It was purely cosmetic. And we're seeing that shift in identity and people placing more and more value on the way they present themselves in virtual worlds in the way that we think about how we present ourselves in the physical world. And the blockchain technologies that are available today and that are growing and will continue to evolve are only going to accelerate that trend, because now instead of you playing a game like Fortnite, and once you leave that environment, this personality you built stays in the game. Well, with the advent of the blockchain and NFTs and future interoperability between metaverses, all of a sudden you can create your virtual self. You can own that, and you can make it portable over time across different experiences. So we will have our physical identities and we will have our virtual identities, and it will not be everybody. But ultimately, the blockchain is fascinating technology that offers the benefits of both complete transparency and being a full ledger, but also a level of anonymity and privacy for individuals who do not want to, say who they are per se. So it's fascinating to see what this world is now and what is going to take place in 2022.